going to look at the sixth trumpet, which is the second woe of Revelation. So the sixth trumpet is equated with the second woe. The second woe is going to happen on the same day that the beast begins to reign, the day of the abomination of desolation. This is the day that the woman is going to flee into the wilderness. This is the remnant of Israel who is going to be going to a safe place where God can protect her for 1,260 days. Also on this day, 4 angels that have been bound at the river Euphrates are going to be released, and they, along with the beast and the 10 kings who hate the harlot, and this is the destruction of the harlot. This is also what I think is going to be the end of World War III. But these 4 angels are going to be released to kill 1/3 of mankind. Now, in previous videos, I've talked about mankind being actual real people and the earth dwellers as being hybrid people. They are not really people. They are the tares that have been sown among the wheat that are growing up until the time of the end when Jesus is going to sort it all out. The process of studying the end times, particularly going through the book of Revelation and listening to what other people have to say, and actually starting out building my understanding of the end times on things that other people have said, like there's a 7-year tribulation, there's a rapture, but there's only one, okay, and things like the tribulation is for the salvation of the Jewish nation, and the tribulation is the time when God is going to pour out his wrath on an unbelieving world. All those things aren't even true, okay? God is not pouring out his wrath on unbelievers. The judgment of unbelievers will not take place until the great white throne judgment. No unbelievers are going to have their eternal destiny decided at the time that we call the tribulation. So who is this wrath on? Who is God pouring out his wrath upon? Well, it's upon all of the fallen ones, the fallen angels, the angels from the pit, the watchers, the sons of God who intermarried with human women prior to the flood and also afterward. It's on the hybrids, the tares that have been sown among the wheat. God is in the process of separating everything out so that when his son begins to reign, after he returns at his second coming, there won't be any fallen angels, no demons, no system of control that's in competition with him. No gods, okay? The gods will be gone. And remember, the watchers, the sons of God, are actually the gods, the Elohim, that were supposed to be over the nations of the earth, where Yahweh is the God who is over the nation of Israel. They were separated to him, and all the other nations had their own gods, which were really no gods at all, but fallen angels and in some cases maybe even low-level demons or high-level demons, however you want to think about it. In any case, the battle is over who's going to control the earth, who is going to have dominion over the earth. And God has already foreordained that humanity, mankind, is supposed to have dominion over the earth. Only people can rule the earth. That is a big spiritual cosmic rule that God has put in place. And so in order to be good rule followers, the sons of God, that is the fallen angels, are going to seek to inhabit real human bodies so that they can rule the world. And of course the beast has the number of a man. Okay, he is a person, a real human that can trace his lineage back to Adam, to the book of life in Genesis chapter 5. And he is also going to be a resurrected man who will be indwelt by Apollyon, who at the time the pit is opened, will come out and eventually go into this 7th king who will be resurrected, become the 8th king, the beast who ascends from the bottomless pit, also known as the beast from the sea of death, and he will reign. He will reign and think that he has legitimacy as a human to have dominion over the earth because he now possesses an actual human body. This is all very bizarre, but this is how it works. So the judgment is going to be on the fallen ones. It's not on people. The only people who are going to be judged are the ones who basically will lay down their life so that they can become gods, okay, when actual watchers, sons of God, angels will seek to inhabit their bodies. And of course, they're going to die. They'll be killed and go into the lake of fire. And there's a very interesting passage in Psalms 87 that talks about the sons of God who are part of the divine council, and God says to them that you will die like men. What that means is, I think, that when these fallen angels inhabit human bodies, that they will actually die like men. They will die like men when Christ returns and be thrown into the lake of fire, which will have already been lit and ready for when Christ returns. So the other people who are going to be cast into the lake of fire are the people who take the mark of the beast. And they're all going to be warned ahead of time, right at this moment in time when those three angels will come out and say to worship God and give him glory, that Babylon has fallen, and don't take the mark of the beast, don't worship the image of the beast, and so on. If you do that, you'll be cast into the lake of fire. So humans who take the mark or worship the beast will be cast into the lake of fire. No other human is going to be judged at that time. Okay? No other human will be judged. It's only the judgment of the fallen ones, not humanity. Humanity, people who never heard of Christ, people who did hear of Christ and rejected him, anybody who's a human is going to be judged at the great white throne judgment, with the exception of Christians who've passed from judgment into life. That we will appear before the bema seat, we'll give an account of ourselves, but we will not be judged whether or not we go into the lake of fire. Okay, that's once you're saved, you're always saved. There's other implications for the need to live a holy life, a sanctified life, follow and serve Jesus, because you could lose your inheritance, but you will never lose your salvation. Now, a lot of people have said that the purpose of the tribulation is for the salvation of the Jewish nation, and there is an element of truth to that, but it's not what people say it is. It's not like the Jews are going to be saved the way believers are saved from their sins and so on. They're going to be rescued, brought into a safe place by Jesus, because if they weren't taken out and protected by God, that if God didn't rescue them and save a remnant, there wouldn't be any left, because the dragon is going to want to devour the woman, going to want to overcome her. This is the remnant of Israel, going to want to destroy her. And after God delivers the remnant of Israel through Christ into the wilderness, then Satan, the dragon, will focus on the woman's other offspring, who are Christians, who will actually be alive after the beast begins to reign. These are a small group of believers who will have to endure without taking the mark of the beast, without worshiping the beast, and they will be rescued before the day of the Lord begins. And the day of the Lord is on a day we do not know. It will be heralded by the sixth seal events, the sun going dark, the moon turning to blood, the sign of the Son of Man appearing in heaven. And that's when the wrath of God will be poured out on the beast kingdom, people who've taken the mark of the beast, but not, absolutely not, on the world, on unbelievers, believers. It doesn't matter. If you're a human being, a true human being, God's wrath will not be poured on you at that time. All right, so there'll be a rapture here. It's the third one. It comes like a thief in the night. We do not know when that will happen. There is no feast day associated with that. There is no particular timing for that, but we do have a window when we know that will happen. It will be after the abomination of desolation, after the tribulation of those days, but before Jesus comes back at his second coming. So that's when the day of the Lord will begin. And Basically, that's the millennium. That's when the millennium will start. Okay, and this is will last for 1,000 years. Okay, so it will start over here on a day that nobody knows prior to the actual return of Christ. All right, and then Christ will set up his kingdom over on this side over here. Okay, but when he sets up his kingdom, he doesn't want the fallen ones there. He doesn't want demons. He doesn't want fallen angels. He doesn't want the watchers. He doesn't want the beast. He doesn't want the false prophet. He doesn't want any of the 10 kings or their armies, any of those people who may be people and may not be people. Some of them are probably earth dwellers. The earth dwellers will worship the beast. Their names will have never been written in the book of life, which is the book of humanity. It's the book of the generations of Adam, of man. Okay, Genesis 5. Okay, that's the first mention of the word book. And the last mention of the word book of life, is actually in Revelation. So we know that the pit will be open over here at the 5th trumpet. That's the first woe. And then within just months after that, Satan is going to be cast out of heaven. Satan will be cast out. All the fallen angels will be cast out. So we'll have all the angels up from the pit on the earth. We'll have all the fallen angels plus Satan confined to the earth. And then the last group of fallen angels will be the 4 angels that are at the river Euphrates. They will be released on this day. They've been reserved for this day. And I believe these are angels that are destroying angels that will go out and be able to pick out who the harlot is, or exactly who is a part of Mystery Babylon, what that city entails, because this is the destruction of the harlot here on this day. This is a single hour, a single day, month, and year that God has already fixed in his appointment book, that he is going to take down the harlot, and he's going to have the beast and the 10 kings assist him, along with those 4 angels who are released from the river Euphrates, plus a 200 million entity army. We do not know exactly who is going to make up that army. Are they, part of the Black Awakening, those super soldiers? Are they clones? Are they hybrids? Are they real people? Are they people indwelt by demons? We don't really know, and it might be all of the above. All right, so let's take a look at this passage, and we'll see if we can't just move on through Revelation chapter 9. This is the last half of it. Revelation 9 verse 12 says this: "The first woe has passed. Behold, 2 woes are still to come." And remember, these 3 woes are associated with the 5th trumpet, the 6th trumpet, and then the 7th trumpet is going to be over here. And the 7th trumpet is when everything is over. Okay? The 7th trumpet is when it's even after the second coming of Christ. The second coming of Christ will be on the Day of Atonement. The 7th trumpet, I believe, will take place on the Feast of Tabernacles. So this is the Feast of Tabernacles will be the big celebration over here, over the millennium, because it's a reminder of the victory that Christ got and the establishment of his kingdom. So the first woe has passed, and remember, the first woe only lasts 5 months, and before the 6th trumpet can sound, which is the second woe, the first woe has to be passed. It has to be over. So this actually kind of gives us a time element here. And while I'm talking about time, I just want to mention a couple things here, okay? Number 1, in Revelation, we're given a lot of units of time. I've talked about this many times, okay? Many times I've talked about time. Time in Revelation is meant to be taken literally. All units of time are literal. So when we get to where we're talking today about the hour, day, month, and year that this 6th trumpet thing happens, we're talking about a literal hour on a real day, on a predetermined month and year. It's literal. Okay, this is a literal day. And also, throughout the whole book of Revelation, that word hour is used. And it's not a metaphorical hour of, an indeterminate amount of time. It's a real hour. Okay, and it's associated for the most part with this day right here, which is the same day as the abomination of desolation. The day the woman flees into the wilderness, the day the two witnesses resurrect and ascend into heaven, the day that there's a giant earthquake in Israel, the day that these 4 angels are released. Okay, this is one of like the most important days in the whole book of Revelation. And it's the word hour that connects all of these things with this day. So really, if you want a great Bible study, just trace the word hour through the whole book of Revelation, including what you see in Revelation chapters 2 and 3, because they're all part of the end time prophecy. It's not church history. It's part of the prophecy. The people or the entities from the pit are those fallen sons of God, the watchers who've been imprisoned in Tartarus, in the pit, since they messed up. And the book of Jude tells us that it will be at the great day, which is what the day of the Lord is, the great day. It'll be at that time that they are permanently judged, cast into the lake of fire. Apollyon is the king of the angels of this group, and it's Apollyon who will indwell the Antichrist when he rises from the dead. So the Antichrist is a composite individual. He is fully human, and he has the spirit of Apollyon inside of him, this king of the angels of the bottomless pit. And it's this spirit inside of Apollyon, inside of the 8th king, that allows him to be Satan's son. And by the way, when Satan is cast out here with all of his angels, when he gets cast out, we're not going to see a bunch of demons, you know, nasty entities coming to earth. Satan and his angels are going to make it look like the second coming of Christ. They're going to make it look all glorious. And actually, rather than the second coming of Christ, we might even want to think of it in terms of God dwelling with man, which is something that's going to happen after the millennium. Because Satan is going to pass himself off, or try to pass himself off, as God among men, God dwelling with man, God the Father dwelling with man. Okay, this is the big counterfeit here. And he will give his powers, throne, and his authority to the beast, who is the false Christ. And then the false prophet, of course, is the fake Holy Spirit. And then we have the ones who are made in the image of the beast, who are the fake believers, who are going to rule and reign with the beast. So this is all a huge counterfeit, and this is one of the reasons why Jesus said that there is going to be this terrible deception. Okay, we're not talking just about like aliens coming or anything like that. We're talking about this big masquerade of Satan and his angels twisting it. Rather than looking like they've been banished from heaven, they're going to make it appear as though heaven is coming down to the earth, where God is now going to live with people. Okay, and that will happen. I mean, God is going to live with people after the millennium, but they're going to want to make this look glorious. And if people didn't know ahead of time what was going on, they would be totally deceived. Totally deceived, because this is going to look really great. All right, so let's take a look at Revelation 9, verse 13. Then the 6th angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, "Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates." So the 4 angels who'd been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. The number of mounted troops was twice 10,000 times 10,000. I heard their number. This was 200 million. Okay, so the 4 angels are going to kill 1/3 of mankind. Okay, they're going to kill 1/3 of humanity. Okay, the 1/3 of humanity that's left. Okay, so who's actually going to be here at this point in time? Well, we've already had the first rapture, okay, of people who are kings and priests, part of the divine council, the divine government that's going to be in heaven. Okay, we've already had fifth seal martyrs have already been martyred. Okay, that's over here. And the number of martyrs is so great that nobody can count them. Okay, and John could count 200 million. He heard that number, but the number of martyrs is so great, nobody knows how many. The 144,000 will have already been taken into heaven. They have their own rapture. They're kept from the hour of trial, okay, that comes on the whole earth to try those who dwell on the earth. Okay, so the earth dwellers are going to be a part of this hour as well. The hour of trial is not a metaphor. It's not a symbolic or metaphorical hour. It's an actual hour of destruction, of trial, of testing, of tribulation. And remember, the altar of God is connected with prayer, and it's connected with the fifth seal martyrs whose souls are under the golden altar. Okay, so when this event takes place and the earth dwellers are going to be tried, the hour of trial for those who dwell on earth, plus a third of mankind who are going to be killed. And we've got the 4 angels who are released to do this. Okay, the vengeance is, the fifth seal martyrs are going to be avenged. Okay, and God is the one who is setting all of this up. It's pretty amazing. We'll see that here in just a minute. The 6th trumpet has actually been scheduled by God to take place on a specific hour, day, month, and year. And during that single hour, on a single day, 4 evil angels who've been bound at the river Euphrates will be loosed to destroy a third of mankind. All right, so there's something I just want to point out here, which I think is interesting, that the 6th trumpet angel is going to release these angels here who are bound. Over here, when the pit opens, it's a fallen angel who's given a key. Okay, there's an angel that falls to the earth to open up the pit. And I think this is meant to be deceptive so that when these watchers are released by a fellow bad guy, that they will think they've been sprung early. Okay, because remember, their destruction isn't till over here, till the day of the Lord, the wrath of God is poured out. And so God isn't going to send one of his holy angels down here to do that, but he does right here, the 6th angel, 6th trumpet angel. In addition to those 4 angels, there'll be 200 million beings. We don't know who exactly they are. They're entities. Some of them will be under the command of the beast and the 10 kings, and some of them might be under the command of those 4 angels who act as generals. We don't really know, but we do know that there's this humongous, gigantic army that's going to destroy a third of mankind. And it's going to destroy some of the earth dwellers who killed the 5th seal martyrs. Revelation 17 tells us that God has orchestrated the events of the 6th trumpet, which is the destruction of the harlot, Mystery Babylon, and this is going to also involve the beast and the 10 kings. Remember, the beast begins to reign over here, and he's got 10 kings. Revelation 17, 12, 13, and 15 through 18. And the 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings, who have not yet received royal power, but they are to receive authority as kings for 1 hour together with the beast. These are of one mind, and they hand over their power and authority to the beast. And the waters that you saw, where the prostitute is seated, are peoples and multitudes and nations and languages, okay, regular humanity. And the angel said to me, and the 10 horns that you saw, which remember, they're the 10 kings, they and the beast will hate the prostitute. In other words, the beast and the harlot, the prostitute, Mystery Babylon, are not going to be working together during the last days. The king's hate her, okay? And they will make her desolate and naked and devour her flesh and burn her up with fire. For God has put it in their hearts to carry out his purpose by being of one mind and handing over their royal power to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman that you saw is the great city that has dominion over the kings of the earth. So the sixth trumpet is when the destruction of the harlot will take place, as described in Revelation 18. We read a whole chapter about what this is going to look like, okay? So Revelation 18 should be inserted right here, all right? A third of humanity will die. Many of the earth dwellers, the hybrids, they will die as well. And during the sixth trumpet, the fifth seal martyrs are going to be avenged of their murders, Revelation 6:10. And they cried out in a loud voice, "How long, O Lord, holy and true, until you avenge our blood and judge those who dwell on the earth?" Okay, God is going to avenge their blood. He has set this up so that this will happen right here. The martyrs will die just a few days before this, during 10 days of persecution, and they will be avenged really quickly after that happens. The manner of death for both mankind and the earth dwellers will consist of 3 plagues of fire, smoke, and sulfur. Revelation 9, verses 17 through 19. And this is how I saw the horses in my vision. And by the way, horses are war animals, and we're looking at something symbolic here. We're not looking at necessarily at horses, but as conveyances, swift conveyances or means of delivering warheads, because that's kind of what we're going to see here. The other thought is that these could be entities that we really have no idea what kind of equipment they have, what kind of vehicles they're riding on, or what kind of tanks or whatever they're riding. We don't know. Okay, they're real. Okay, they're real, and the point of this though is going to be that they serve up real fire, smoke, and sulfur that ends up killing a third of mankind in a single hour. In my estimation, the only thing that I know of that can do that is actually a nuclear exchange. And this is how I saw the horses in my vision and those who rode them. They wore breastplates the color of fire and of sapphire and of sulfur. And the heads of the horses were like lions' heads, and fire and smoke and sulfur came out of their mouths. And by these 3 plagues, a third of mankind was killed, by the fire and smoke and sulfur coming out of their mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails. For their tails are like serpents with heads, and by means of them they wound. So this is sort of a dual-use weapon of some kind, where something comes out the front and something comes out the back, but it's with fire, smoke, and sulfur. Okay, this is, we're talking about munitions of some kind. And it's entirely possible that this could be a nuclear exchange. So we need to understand that the present system that we're living under, okay, right now the harlot is seated on the waters. Okay, she's seated on peoples and nations and languages and tongues, and she rules the world. And you have to think about now, who is it that's been sort of oppressing, ruling over humanity for a long time? Well, we're talking about bloodlines, and we're talking about world leaders who are not necessarily kings or presidents or prime ministers. Most of these people who run the show do it from behind the scenes, and we would call them the elite. Okay, and they're part of 3-letter organizations, and the different organizations throughout history have risen and fallen, but you can trace all of this stuff back all the way to the Tower of Babel. It's the city of Babylon is the spirit that's alive inside of harlot members, let's put it like that. And these elite are, a lot of them are either hybrids, earth dwellers, or they are regular people who've been demonized, demon possessed. Some of the members of this harlot system are just regular people. They're just humans who are involved in this at lower levels. It's a hierarchical system of control, and of course the number of people who are at the top of this control pyramid get less and less as you go up, and power is more and more concentrated in just a few, the people at the top who are not really human. They're not real people. And these people right now are ruling the earth through institutions. They rule the earth, okay? They rule the earth. They're over everybody. And remember, God gave dominion to mankind. We're all supposed to have and exercise our own stewardship, our own dominion in the earth. But these entities are stealing it. They're stealing away our dominion, and they want to take away the whole earth so that Christ can't have it and we can't have it. The reason is because they know they're doomed. And if they can't be on the earth and sort of legally control the earth, they're going to be cast into the lake of fire. And they hope that because, you know, almost all believers will be in heaven and the rest of the world will be dead, that somehow or another they'll get to keep the earth if they can just control who is real human here and who isn't, and that God's people will be in heaven with God, and so everybody can have their own place, and they will not be cast into the lake of fire. Okay, I'm just guessing here, but if I was them, that's how I would think about this. And so these elites, they rule the world through institutions and corporations and central banking, you know, the finance sector, through entertainment, media, education, medicine, agriculture, you name it, religion. These entities have their fingers in the pie. It's how they do it. However, once the beast begins to reign and Satan is going to give all of his power, throne, and authority to the beast, he doesn't need the harlot anymore. He doesn't need those entities. He doesn't want them. He doesn't want them unless they serve the beast. If they don't do that, well then he doesn't want them, because the beast is going to reign and not the harlot. The harlot's going to be surprised by this because she thinks that she's going to survive all of this and be a co-regent with the beast. She doesn't know that she's going to be destroyed in that single hour right here, because that eighth king is not going to be ridden by the harlot. Almost every believer will be in heaven by the time the harlot's destroyed, and they'll either have been killed by the harlot, the earth dwellers, and the kings of the earth, or they will have been taken in one of two prior rapture events. In addition, hundreds of thousands of people will have died because of the effects of the first 4 seals and first 4 trumpets. Very few people will be left. So the first 4 seals will actually be opened on the day that we're taken into heaven, as well as the first 4 trumpets. The 5th seal will be over here. That's the 5th seal martyrs. And, you know, a quarter of the earth's population will be affected by the things that have to do with the seals, which is peace being taken from the earth, and the rider on the white horse will be given his crown so he can begin to do his thing. And there's going to be pestilence and wild beasts, and it's going to be really bad, and that will affect 1/4 of the earth. And then when the first 4 trumpets are sounded, that's when you have like wormwood and something like a great mountain being thrown into the sea, and the waters being polluted, and fresh water, and so on and so forth. Okay, all of that's going to be happening over here. People are going to be dying like flies. They're going to be dropping like flies. People are just going to be dying by the thousands and hundreds of thousands. So really, by the time we get to this point here, there aren't going to be a lot of people. There just aren't. There aren't going to be a lot of people. 2 witnesses will be on the scene over here prior to the beast beginning to reign, because they're going to ascend on this day. They're going to rise from the dead and ascend. The 2 witnesses, Moses and Elijah, are going to be battling the earth dwellers, the hybrids, okay, during their time over here. Okay, when they're calling down plagues and so on. It's against the earth dwellers and anybody who's kind of siding with them. It's not against humanity in general. Remember when Moses was doing the plagues in Egypt, all those plagues were coming against the gods of Egypt. They were all to demonstrate that the God of Moses and Israel was more powerful than all the gods of Egypt. And we're not talking about like those gods don't exist. They do. They are entities who actually do exist. And the gods are returning. Okay, that's part of the whole deal here, is that all of these entities are going to be looking like gods. Also, Elijah came against the god Baal. Remember when there was this big contest between the priests of Baal and between Elijah. And Elijah's God was the one who answered by fire. Also, just something to note here is that the priests of Baal were not unaccustomed to having Baal answer by fire. So this was a thing. And later on, when the false prophet comes on the scene, he's going to cause fire to come down as well, basically showing that the beast is the real God, that the dragon is the real God, and that, the gods have come to earth. Any of the controlling elites, people who are running the show right now, who happen to survive after this point in time, if they're humans, if they're real humans, not hybrids, they're going to want to regroup and try to prop up the old harlot system. And they're going to seek the assistance of their demon gods and continue to engage in every kind of immorality and idolatry. And by the way, it's through immorality and idolatry that they believe that they acquire power. Verse 20 of Revelation 9, and the rest of mankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of the works of their hands, nor give up worshiping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze and stone and wood, which cannot see or hear or walk, nor did they repent of their murders, their sorceries, or their sexual immorality, or their thefts. Okay, so these are mankind. These are not earth dwellers. All the earth dwellers are going to worship the beast. The people of mankind who've been a part of this harlot thing, they're going to try and revive it. Okay, and they are going to use the methods that they have been using all this time to acquire power, which is through sorceries, through the worship of demons, and so on. So we know some things. We know that the influence of the harlot is worldwide. She sits on many waters. We know that the beast and the 10 kings will hate the harlot, and they're going to devour her with fire, smoke, and sulfur. We know that the 10 kings will have authority as kings with the beast for 1 hour, and they're going to give their authority to the beast. And we know that this is God's idea. It's his plan. God is the one who's going to set up the destruction of the harlot, that is Mystery Babylon, using the beast and the 10 kings, these 4 powerful fallen angels, and a 200 million man army. And this will take place on a single hour using the 3 plagues of fire, smoke, and sulfur. This is the end of World War III. When peace is taken from the earth over here, all hell is going to break loose on the earth. Wars everywhere. And peace just being taken away from, neighborhoods and cities and so on. No peace anywhere anymore. And wars, east against west, until finally you get over here. And this is the end of World War III. This is a nuclear exchange that's going to take out, I believe, most of the Western countries. Europe, the US, Canada, parts of South America, parts of, Australia. I think Africa is going to be exempt because she hasn't been a part of the whole harlot institution. I think that the kings of the East, most of Asia and the Middle East, they're not going to be destroyed because they haven't been a part of the harlot system. This, I believe, is also going to be the counterfeit Armageddon. So there's going to be this glorious return of, Satan and his angels looking like God with us, 3.5 days, and then it will be like this giant Armageddon, or maybe even their fake, great white throne judgment, where you cast all the bad guys into the lake of fire. Whatever, this is the big destruction, and most people who are alive at that time, who are not, who don't know the Lord, are going to think that this is the end of the world, that this is Armageddon. And the beast won, and Satan won, the false prophet won, and you better get on the bus and take your mark of the beast. So the hour of the harlot's demise is connected with the second woe, which is the sixth trumpet. And we read about the second woe in Revelation 11, 13, 14. In the same hour, there was an earthquake, and 1/10 of the city fell. We're talking about Jerusalem here. And in the earthquake, 7,000 people were killed. And the rest were afraid and gave glory to the God of heaven. These are the people who are going to most likely be the sheep who will then repopulate the earth during the millennium, those that survive, because they give glory to God. Verse 14, the second woe is past. Behold, the third woe is coming quickly. And remember, the third woe is over here, the seventh trumpet, and it will be 42 months or 1,260 days. Okay, so this right here, the second woe, sixth trumpet, this is the hour that Mystery Babylon is destroyed. Revelation 14:7, and this is one of those angels calling out with a loud voice, fear God and give him glory, for the hour of his judgment, that is the judgment of the harlot, has come, and worship him who made heaven and earth, the sea, and springs of water. In other words, do not worship the beast or the dragon, Satan. This is the hour that the 10 kings, along with the beast, receive authority to carry out God's plan. This is the hour of the judgment of the harlot, Revelation 17:12. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who've received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. And we know from Revelation 18 in several places that the judgment of the harlot will take place in a single hour. Revelation 18:10. Standing at a distance for fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city, Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour your judgment has come. Revelation 18:17. For in a single hour all this wealth has been laid waste, and all the shipmasters and seafaring men, sailors, and all whose trade is on the sea stood afar off. Revelation 18:19. And they cast dust upon their heads, and they were crying out, weeping and mourning, saying, woe, woe, the great city, in which all those having ships in the sea were enriched through her wealth, for in 1 hour she has been brought to desolation. So the hour of judgment of the harlot, Mystery Babylon, is hinted at, and there are clues about it all the way through the book of Revelation. Just follow the word hour, and you will see hour will only refer to one of two things. It's either the hour that the harlot is destroyed right here on the same day as the abomination of desolation, or it's the hour when Jesus is going to come and take these people like a thief in the night at the third rapture, just before the day of the Lord begins, when the new age begins. This is the end of the age, and the new age, the age of Christ's rule, will begin. So there's going to be some people who try to resurrect the harlot, try to bring her back again. And these are the ones, they're not going to worship the beast. They are going to try and do their own thing and sort of keep that going during the reign of the beast. Okay, so they're going to be worshiping the demons and so on, trying to get their power back, because it looks like the beast is going to reign and they want to reign. Okay, they want to have a place at the table. And when Christ returns over here, sometime between the 6th and the 7th bowl, this is what we read in Revelation 16, 17 through 19. The 7th angel poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple from the throne, saying, it is done. And there were flashes of lightning, rumblings, peals of thunder, and a great earthquake, such as there had never been since man was on the earth. So great was that earthquake. And the great city was split into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell. And God remembered Babylon the Great to make her drain the cup of the wine of the fury of his wrath. So that will be the final destruction of the harlot here. It's important to understand that the earth dwellers, that is the hybrids, are not going to be a part of that harlot thing that's going to be happening during the reign of the beast, because the earth dwellers are going to worship the beast. Okay, Revelation 13, 7 and 8. Talking about the beast, and authority was given it over every tribe and people and language and nation, and all who dwell on earth will worship it. Everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. So the earth dwellers, the hybrids, are going to change allegiances. They're going to go from being a part of the harlot and running some of the harlot stuff over here to worshiping the beast over here. And there will be regular humans who are going to try and keep the harlot thing going, but they're not going to be able to do it. Christ is going to put the kibosh on that as well at his second coming. So the more I read this stuff and understand the difference between earth dwellers who are hybrids, who aren't real people, and mankind, and the more we make these connections in the book of Revelation, the more clarity we get on all of this stuff. And I just want to say this again, is that the time of tribulation, well, it isn't 7 years. It's 3.5 years plus a few months over on this side over here, which is, when the bad stuff is. The bad stuff will happen when we're raptured, and that will be over the Feast of Tabernacles, hopefully this year, 2023. And then from Tabernacles over here, will be about April 1st. So we're talking, about 6 months between when we're raptured and when the second woe happens. So about 5 to 6 months between our rapture, which will, World War is going to break out big time then, and the end of the war, of World War III, will be a nuclear exchange right there, right here, and probably over March 29th, March 30th to April 1st, right here. And then another 3.5 years. The other thing I just want to remind you is that this is not the judgment of any person. No human being, whether they're a believer or non-believer, is judged during the tribulation. This isn't when God's wrath is poured out on unbelieving humanity. The judgment of unbelieving humanity is going to take place at the Great White Throne Judgment, which is at the end of the millennium. The other thing is only the fallen entities are going to be judged. Any person who takes the mark of the beast will be judged. Any person who becomes a part of the image of the beast is going to be thrown into the lake of fire. All the hybrids, all the demons, anything that's a fallen, not supposed to be here on earth entity will be thrown into the lake of fire when Christ returns, except for Satan. He'll be put in the pit and then released after the 1,000 years are over. If it weren't for the fact that Jesus is going to deliver the remnant of Israel in the wilderness and keep this remnant safe for 3.5 years, if it wasn't for his protection, there would be no Israel to rule during the millennium. No Israel through whom Christ would rule over the nations during that day of the Lord, day of Christ, millennial reign, the great day. All right, so that's the end of Revelation chapter 9. I only have one more chapter of Revelation yet to do. That's Revelation 10. I'm very excited to do that one because Revelation 10 is the story of us being changed from mortal to immortal. It's a really great story, very good imagery, and we'll be looking at that in a future video, hopefully not too far out. So leave a comment in the comments section. Be sure and check the resources that are listed below. If you're interested in having fellowship with like-minded people in your area, there is an email that you can copy and paste and just send off to Amy, and she'll try to connect you with some other person in your area. Use common sense when doing that, though. And we have a timeline, a spreadsheet timeline. We have thumb drives that have videos of mine, along with some of the show notes and so on. And we have a lot of other video platforms where my videos can be viewed, as well as there's other places where they're stored, like in Crowded Heaven. If you go to MediaFire, you can download this video. It will probably be on the new version of the thumb drive that our brother Ken is making. So if you want all of Revelation chapter by chapter, you may want to either get another thumb drive that has it, or wait till I finish chapter 10 and then you can get everything. There's just so many options. So anyway, leave a comment in the comments section, share the video, give it a like, and we'll see you on another video. Till then, have a blessed day.